paid the first year I ever went, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That I've been 2 years. First year I paid and went for my birthday.
But they
Second year I went with a press pass, and it's just not the same. Like you get to go in early, you get to talk to all the vendors and the artists and stuff. It's like, oh, I'm better than everyone
but
now.
they get a lot of media coverage out of me, so it's a good
Yeah,
deal
right.
on
Yeah,
their part.
I've done enough work for them over the years that I feel like I should just get a
Oh
pass
yeah. Well, when
every
me and
year.
you first met, you were the one doing the announcements over the PA.
I hated that so much. Oh my god.
Dude, I would love to have that job.
Well, so but it was before they figured out how to like the logistics of having that many people in the base center. People don't know that that year the fire marshal was very close to shutting the whole thing down.
Yeah. Well, that was when they started doing that whole snake thing around the seating, so that and made you do that before you could get down to the floor because it was just like mayhem. People getting down to the
Yeah.
floor, and it's like, I don't think this is good because you can barely move down here.
When I was having to make announcements literally every 5 minutes of trying to deter people from going down onto the floor, but they weren't having it.
Well, you know the one thing you're here for. Don't do that. Go do
Yeah,
Exactly.
something
right.
else. uh, that was we played my cartoons that year too. My animation shorts that I did. I kept seeing them up on the big screen. I'm like, that's awesome.
I remember us talking about those when I interviewed you for the first time on the Derek Diamond Experience.
Yeah. I
Rest in
still
peace.
actually I compiled those into a 5 minute short that I was going to put into like animation film festivals, but I never did it.
If you ever do like a Blu-ray of Monsters Anonymous, you should throw it on as a
I
bonus
should.
feature.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually
I
been
love
thinking
stuff
about
like
doing
that.
that, but I just have to not be lazy. Uh,
I know that
No.
feeling.
So
but
that's never happening. Anyways,
so we ready to start this bad boy?
I
Sure.
guess so.
All right, here
I mean,
we
we're
go.
here. We might as well.
Ad read.
Yep.
All right, here we go. In three, two, one.
Oh, this episode of Open Micers is brought to you by that absolutely filthy motherfucker, BJ DeBlow. He knows. He knows exactly what he did, and he would have started his own podcast, but he's too chicken shit. But I digress because we want to thank our lovely patrons over at patreon.com, www.openmicers.com. Take you straight to our Patreon. We have to shout out Mr. Mike Eveland of B-Res Coffee Co., who, by the way, we're one sale away from having our own line of coffee. So please use our code OM Podcast for 10% off your order. And we get to name our own fucking coffee. That's so cool. And some other guy named Derek Diamond. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll mention him. Anyways, yeah, let's just go ahead and start the show.
That music can only mean one thing. It is the Open Micers podcast. My name is Jason Robbins.
I am Jacob Craig, and I look and sound so much better. This is our last episode of the year. First episode of my new laptop. I feel fucking good, Jason. And I know you feel good too.
You have
buddy,
the reddest lips of any human being I've ever seen.
I know I have lips that women would kill for, and it bothers me, and it bothers women as well. But I know you're happy too, buddy, because our guest tonight is a podcaster who is starting his brand new show called Feature Presentation, which will premiere on January 5th, 2022. Sounds weird saying that year, but 2022, which is like this fucking weekend, he's going to start his own podcast, a brand new podcast. It's Derek Diamond, everybody. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I've been looking forward to this. I think we booked this, a little over a month ago. So
Yeah.
been kind of counting down the days and excited to wrap up the year with you guys. So thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've all been counting down the days to your new podcast, dude.
It's weird because it feels like forever that I made the announcement that I was going to do a new show, and we're a week away, and it's almost like it's still snuck up on me. I'm sure you guys know how it is. Like, no matter how much you prepare for something, when it's finally here, you're like, I'm not ready for this at all. And that's kind
Right.
of how I've been feeling, because I'm going out of town for a week. So I'm actually going to be on vacation when the show launches. So I've been trying to get just everything done and get it all scheduled, so that way I don't have to worry about it whenever I'm in Orlando. But we'll see what happens. But no, it's really exciting. It's podcasting's changed a lot over the years since I started the Derek Diamond Experience back in 2014. So been learning a lot about podcast marketing, building a following on social media. So I've been relearning a lot that I thought I knew, and I've learned that there's a lot that I didn't know. So it's really exciting.
How many episodes did Derek Diamond Experience go? Exactly.
336.
336 episodes.
Wow.
Wow. Our me and Derek have another podcast as well called the Nerd Cave Retro Show, which just busted 250 episodes not too long ago. And that felt like it took forever to get to. And I've never broken 300 episodes on any podcast I've ever done.
Well, this time next year, we'll be celebrating 300 episodes of Nerd Cave Retro.
We're
And
getting there.
It's on one hand, it seems like yesterday that we just started that show, but on the other hand, it seems like another lifetime, because I don't know about you, but I'm sure you'll agree with me that I was in a completely different place in life at that point. And
we
just
both
to see,
were.
just to see like how much has changed and what we've accomplished since then, it is really kind of a testament. And I'm sure you guys will think the same, in 5 years when you're celebrating the 5-year anniversary of Open Micers.
I don't know if I can take Jacob that long. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm to the point
actually.
now where I'm just ready to quit.
Yeah, this is probably our last episode, to be honest. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Well, it's been an honor to be your last guest then.
I didn't think we were going to go past like 20 episodes, but here we are sneaking up on 100. So we must be doing something right.
Yeah, we just don't learn, do we? It seems weird to have something that goes over 300 episodes. Like I can't even wrap my head around being committed to a show for that long. I mean, and so what kind of went into the decision to end the Derek Diamond Experience and start a new project?
Well, it kind of goes back to the summer of 2018, and I was approaching 200 episodes on the Derek Diamond Experience, and the show was feeling kind of stagnant. Like there wasn't really a challenge for me anymore. So that's when I made the decision that I was going to go on hiatus and rebrand the show to focus solely on film and TV. I had toyed with the idea of ending the Derek Diamond Experience then and doing a new show with a new name and everything. But then I thought to myself, not to sound very vain, but I felt like I had built enough of a brand that people would stick around. I figured the listenership would drop a little bit because the topic was becoming more niche, but I made the decision to stick with the name. And then back in September, I kind of had that same feeling, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the Derek Diamond Experience anymore. Like I dabbled in doing movie reviews, but I didn't really stay consistent with it. And I would do monthly top 5 lists, and those were really popular. But it just felt like I had done enough. I had done as much with the show as I could up to that point. So I'd kind of toyed around with the idea, well, what if I just do something different? And it's something that, I hadn't done in a long time since Jason and I started Nerd Cave Retro in 2016. And the thought of building something new from scratch kind of excited me in a way. So the more I thought about it, and then, I remember talking with Jason about it, and I talked with a couple of mutual friends of ours, and it seemed like the right decision. So it was around, I think it was mid to late October when I formally announced that the show was going to end.
It's always exciting when you have that new show looming on the horizon.
New show smell.
Yeah, that new show smell. You're like, the possibilities that we can do. But then you end up like this show, and it's just the same 2 idiots a year and a half
talking about pooping ourselves in soup.
But people keep coming back for it, though. Yeah. So I think you guys are doing something right.
I mean, I don't know. But by the way, when you guys started Nerd Cave Retro, I was a sophomore in high school and had not even started doing stand-up comedy yet.
Just so put me in the grave. Just put me in the grave right now.
very long time ago. You're both ancient. Um,
The only reason we started that show is because I wanted to listen to a podcast about retro gaming, and there weren't any. So I was like, well, I'm going to corner this market. I mean, there were a few shows, but they had most of them that were there had either pod faded, or you had stuff like the CU podcast, which is um, Pat Contry, who does retro gaming stuff, but the show isn't really retro gaming centric. It's more just a regular gaming podcast. So I was like, well, time to see if first I was like, I don't know if Wally wants to do it. I'd asked Wally, and he was like, nah, I'm not really into retro games. I was like, I know the perfect person. And I called up Derek and I said, hey, you want to do a show about retro games? And he was like, yes, I do. And the rest is history.
Well, around that time, you had gotten back into collecting NES games, which
Yeah.
got me into collecting Super Nintendo games. And I do like some modern games, but I always go back to the classics of specifically SNES, Sega Genesis, the era of the early to mid 90s, and a little bit with the N64 and GameCube as well. So when he had the idea and approached me, it was a no-brainer to me. And here we are, 200, and I think we're doing episode 255 or 256 tonight.
256 tonight, I think.
Yeah. So it's that, and that's been a journey too. And the one thing I will take credit for is that I don't think Nerd Cave Retro would exist if the Derek Diamond experience didn't exist, because Jason was one of my first guests that I ever interviewed. And then we kind of slowly started to build a friendship and stay in contact. And Jason was doing the Pop Culture Palette podcast then, and we would do crossover episodes with Pop Culture Palette and Nerd Cave podcast. So I remember those shows would be slammed with people. We'd have like 8 or 9 people on those episodes. Like, it was just such a cluster, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
And Jason, I don't know if I've even discussed this with you. After every episode, I kept thinking of the dynamic that we all had with each other, and I felt like you and I had the best out of everyone.
That's why I wanted to do that show with you. I was like, man, if there's anybody I could build a show with, it would be Derek, because you seem to be the person that cared the most about podcasting. I mean, nothing against Zach and Robbie, but they were kind of like, you could tell, like, Robbie didn't even know how to use a microphone. Like, that was always my thing. Like, dude, talk into the microphone, please.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I remember we did a live show once, and you actually joined it just to give him crap about not speaking into the microphone.
But yeah, you seem to be the guy that always kept that stuff afloat and going. So it's like, I need somebody that is equally 100% into like keeping a show going,
Well, and it goes back to when Zach and I started the Nerd Cave podcast years ago, and the show was initially his idea. One of the things I mentioned, that if we were going to do it, I don't want to just do 4 or 5 shows and then be done. Like, if we're going to do it, I want to do it right.
Yeah.
And I carried that over into the Derek Diamond experience, and that's what I'm carrying over into my new show. And that there's going to be a little bit more of a production value with feature presentation. With Derek Diamond experience, there's pretty much just intro and outro music, but I've put together a cool intro with clips from movies of yesteryear. It's going to have almost like a 70s kind of feel to it with the color scheme and everything. So I'm excited for everyone to finally see all the stuff that I've been planning, over the last month or two.
Is there going to be a YouTube component as well with the podcast?
Yep. So the YouTube component's going to be a little different. Instead of full episodes, I'm just going to do segments. So one episode will be, say, an interview, and the next will be a top 5 list, or the next might be a review. And that kind of goes back into the research that I've been doing. I found people much more prefer to watch segments and not 2 to 3 hour videos.
I've actually thought a lot about that lately, in order to get a larger YouTube audience to take both of these shows, Open Micers and Nerd Cave Retro, instead of just putting the whole thing up, break it up into segments and upload it, because I think the algorithm for YouTube says anything over 10 minutes gets like 50% less clicks. I don't remember what the exact numbers were, but like the further you get away from like 10 minutes, like you're not getting clicks. That's just all there is to it.
I mean, everyone in the world has ADHD. Like,
Yeah.
no one needs to sit through that long. Like, just if you put the same podcast in 10-minute clips and put just every 10 minutes of the podcast on your channel, everyone's just going to watch all the 10-minute videos and not realize they watched an entire fucking podcast.
Yeah. But that's a lot of work, though.
It is a lot of work, and I refuse to do any of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do any work.
Yeah.
I am the opposite of Derek Diamond. Anyways,
I'm sure there's a way that I could do it in YouTube itself, because all I do is I take the Twitch video and I just export it to YouTube. And I wonder if there's a way in YouTube I could just split it up into like 10-minute segments.
I don't think you can edit on YouTube. Maybe.
They might have limited editing capabilities, but I've never really dabbled into YouTube Studio, so
they do.
I'm not really the person to ask for that. I just use Adobe Premiere because that's what I've used to edit videos for a decade now. So
yeah,
it's what I'm comfortable with and what I'm used to. So
yeah, I'm still using iMovie for all my stuff, and
it works though.
It works, but man, it's very it doesn't have a whole lot of I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Like there's not much you can do with it.
Flabbergasted.
No.
You could do the basics when it comes to editing, but if you want to do anything more than that, then you're SOL.
Yeah, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty and do like I said, break stuff up into segments and putting like stuff in there, and like especially like if you want to put any kind of like effects or anything in there, it's very basic and it's not really made for that.
Yeah.
How do you think I feel, dude? I edit videos using Pornhub. Like, I'm not even in the conversation.
Nobody wants to watch you eating soup. Like, soup videos are just not going to do it for you.
Dude, mukbang videos are very popular on the internet.
So
also, mukbang, title of your sex tape.
What?
So
who came up with the? Why do they call it mukbang? Like, what is that?
It's a Korean word, I believe.
Oh,
it's from
a Korean
Korea.
word. I thought it was just some word somebody made up.
I think it's Korean for literally to eat.
To eat?
I think it's something like that, but it's a Korean word because the craze started in South Korea. But I know, Derek, you've banked a lot of episodes, it looks like, already, and none of this is really a secret because you've been posting it on social media. So do you want to kind of run down like what all you've done for feature presentation so far that you've been willing to release?
Yeah, so the first couple of episodes are going to be on the longer side just because it's partially I've got a lot of content in the can, and I'm also playing catch up because I technically haven't been doing a podcast since No Way Home came out. Haven't been doing one since The Matrix Resurrections came out. So the first episode is going to be me reviewing both those movies. And then I'll also be doing top 5 most anticipated movies of 2022. And it's going to be different than how I normally do a top 5 list because I'm going to start bringing guests on to do them with me. So I brought on Reagan Bell and Christian Jones from the Fantastic People podcast. That
never heard of them.
Yeah, they're all right. No, they're great people. I love their podcast. So yeah, they'll be on the first episode, and then I'll have 2 interviews. One with a producer named Zach Thompson, who worked directly with James Cameron on the set of Avatar. And he's also worked as a PA on Dumb and Dumber and Independence Day. So he shares a lot of really cool stories. And then an actor-writer named Chloe Tracos, who released a pretty cool independent movie called Introducing Jodea, and is also part of the Righteous Gemstones series that's on HBO Max. That'll premiere on January 9th, I think. Then the week after, and this is one that I'm really excited for, is going to be pretty Cobra Kai heavy. I don't know if you or your listeners like Cobra Kai, but it's probably my favorite show on TV right now. I can't wait for season 4 to come out. I got to interview Gianni Giatinzo, who plays Dimitri on Cobra Kai, and also Jesse Cove, who plays a side character in season 3, but is also the real life son of Sensei Kreese.
Hmm.
And his character actually plays an integral part in Kreese becoming the way he is, which I think is really ironic and almost like a Back to the Future, Marty and George McFly kind of situation.
Yeah.
So those are their interviews will be on episode 2 of feature presentation. So, and then after that, the shows will get a little bit more condensed. So probably an average of 90 minutes per show.
Yeah, man, I've been seeing, everything you've been posting on social media and stuff, and you've done a really good job so far of like getting people excited for this thing to just finally come out so we can all consume this content. I didn't keep up with it exactly. Who won your Instagram poll for best Christmas movie?
So it came down to Christmas Vacation and Die Hard,
Yeah.
which, funny enough, to backtrack to the semifinals, Christmas Vacation barely beat Home Alone. Like it was by like less than 10%. And Die Hard barely beat Batman Returns. Die Hard destroyed Christmas Vacation.
Really?
Like almost by 70% of the vote.
I feel like it's because there are so many people out there that just refuse to accept that Die Hard is a Christmas movie that everyone has to say it's the best Christmas movie.
I will say this, the director came out of Die Hard and said that he considers it to be a Christmas movie. So to me, that ends the debate.
Because
trumps
it's
Bruce
about
Willis.
family.
Yeah. There are Christmas elements in the story. Yes. That makes it a Christmas movie.
It's the season of giving.
It's got Christmas music in it. It takes place at Christmas. I mean, he takes out the bad guy by using Christmas tape, for presents. Like,
it's true.
How do you not know that's a Christmas movie?
Happy Trails, Hans.
Yeah, I have to say too, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel like Christmas Vacation might be a tad overrated.
You hush.
Just a tad. Just a tad.
I think it's probably top 3 best Christmas movie of all time, in my opinion. It's one of those I have to watch it every year.
I'll say this: I voted for Home Alone in your poll. I'll say that. I enjoy Home Alone better than Christmas Vacation. I don't know. I don't make movies. I don't know anything about movies. I'm a heathen.
Well, the crazy thing is Home Alone is a little more of my generation because I can remember very vividly watching Home Alone for the first time.
You know what's crazy though is John Hughes wrote both of those movies.
Yeah. Very ironic.
Yeah.
But I did really enjoy the Christmas movie tournament. I'm going to do my next one. I'm going to do is probably going to launch it in mid-January. I've been thinking about the best mentor characters in movies, like Mr. Miyagi, Yoda, Obi-Wan. So I may do a movie mentor tournament next.
Absolutely.
I like that.
I mean, that's definitely a very good vehicle to not only gain followers, but get your followers engaged and like actually active in your podcasting.
Well, and that's one of the things that I learned from a podcast I started listening to called Grow Your Show. And they talk about how social media engagement is key to growing your podcast. And that, you're not really doing, you're not plugging it, but in a way you're plugging it. Like in the Christmas movie tournament, I never once mentioned, and be sure to check out the podcast on January 5th. I mention it when I talk about specific things I'm going to mention on the show, but I've had multiple people message me, through Instagram or Facebook saying that they are excited to see the show launch. And I never got that when I launched the Derek Diamond Experience. So I feel like I might be onto something.
Well, you're definitely going to have that carryover crowd too. You're going to carry all those Derek Diamond people over because you had some pretty loyal listeners to that show, and they're going to follow you wherever you go.
Which is pretty flattering in the sense because, one, I never thought that I would be doing a podcast when I first heard of them back in, I think it was 2005.
Yeah.
And now to hear people actually supporting it. And the same thing, with all the support we get on Nerd Cave Retro as well. That's one of the reasons why I keep doing it, is that I feel like I'd be letting people down if I didn't.
What's crazy about Nerd Cave Retro is like back in the days when me and Wally were doing Broke Nerdcast, and then me and Steve Scott started Pop Culture Palette, and Steve had a name. I mean, he's a comic book artist, like a famous comic book artist. It still took like just pulling teeth to get people to listen to those shows. I mean, we finally built up an audience after like a year or so. But Nerd Cave Retro, it was like right out the bat. We started getting lots of downloads. It's like, man, we hit a market that was like wanting a show like that.
And I think that's the main reason why. And I think it's because, we have a good dynamic, and I think we carry good conversation. We talk about interesting subjects. But the fact that we've been able to be consistent since 2016, because that's a big thing with podcasts. And anybody who asks me, what's a piece of advice you could give if I want to start a podcast? Figure out what you want to do. If you want to release one episode a month, then do one episode a month. If you want to do bi-weekly, then do that. As long as you stay consistent with it, then people will keep coming back.
And we really haven't changed our format either. If you can go back to the very early episodes of Nerd Cave Retro, and it's still the same format. We open the show, we talk about what we did or what we played that week, or movies we saw. Then we talk about the news. Then we talk about video game history. Then we review an old game, and then boom, we're out. Like, it's been the same formula for 5 years now.
Yeah, I would say that the only difference is back then you both looked so horrible. Like watching those early YouTube videos with Derek's hair down to his shoulders. And Jason, what were you thinking growing like just the bottom half of a beard? You looked disgusting.
I don't know.
I'm just going to say it.
I didn't care. I just didn't care. I don't know.
Download the audio version of the early Nerd Cave Retros, everybody.
A funny story about when I had long hair, when I finally got tired of it, it was the day after I had worked a football game at my old job with the Blue Wahoos. And it was a really windy day, and I was out wrapping camera cable, and just this giant clump of it blew right into my mouth.
Oh.
And as soon as that happened, I was like, it's done. It's over. And as soon as I left work, I went straight to Sports Clips, and I just said, just cut it. I'll figure out what to do with it. Just cut it.
Well, one of my favorite pictures of you is the one where you've got that long hair and you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt and you're doing sound. I don't remember.
Yeah, on the set of Survey.
Yeah, it was on the set of Survey. I was like, man, Derek looks like he's straight out of the 70s. Like, that's the dude you go buy pot from right there.
Yeah, that is probably my favorite picture from that time.
You
when
look
I had
like
that hair.
you look like you own a van and you have 8 tracks of the entire Doobie Brothers collection.
You look like you're moments away from getting shot in the kneecap by Magnum PI.
Yes. Which I would consider an honor.
Yeah, right. But you both, I mean, Jason maybe not so much, but you've both definitely aged much better.
Hey, I think I look way better now than I did back then.
That's true. You're still trying to do like the post-hardcore thing. It just wasn't a good look.
Hey, I was a musician. I was an aging musician, and I thought it was cool. Okay, I was wrong.
If you lay out a bunch of pictures of me, I can tell you what time frame it is just based on my hairstyle, because I feel like I've gone through 8 hairstyles in the last probably 7 or 8 years. I've kept this one for a while, but I went through when I first started podcasting, I pretty much like buzzed my hair.
Mm-hmm.
Then I grew it out, and then I spiked it, and then I think I went to this.
Yeah, I'm the same way with my weight. I mean, I went from like, skinny Jacob to tubby and then fat. And now you're looking at yoked Jacob because I'm just fucking jacked now. I've just been hitting the gym and eating
Yeah,
them
right.
fucking burgers, dude.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so
How many times have you been to the gym this week?
that's not important because I mean it's Christmas. I have a family. I've been a little busy, but I will say in all seriousness, I've actually lost 5 pounds. In all seriousness,
I know what
I'm
that five
actually
pounds
losing weight.
is from. I should post a picture that Jacob sent to me a little while ago, and he's like, "Does this look normal to you?" And
It
you
was
can.
a poopy.
Oh my god.
It was horrible. It was horrifying.
Um,
Like that's
I don't
not
want to be too
normal.
graphic. But it's still stuck to my toilet. It's stuck to the bottom of my toilet.
Oh my god.
Dude,
And I think it's mutated. I think
I think
it's
you
growing.
should probably go see a doctor about that. Honest, that's my medical opinion is to go
I
see a
don't need
doctor.
to because he's gonna look at me and say, "Dude, you're so jacked. I don't know why you're in here. Go out there and do all the steroids and eat all the burgers." And I'll say,
It's all that
"Yes,
gas
sir."
station boudin.
Yeah. Oh.
Dude,
Oh.
by the way, do not talk shit on gas station boudin. I had crawfish gas station boudin the other day, and I am the picture of health. Okay,
Why would you
it was
do that?
so good. It was so good, guys.
So I like to think I have a pretty tolerable stomach. Like I can eat
Yeah.
pretty much anything I want from Taco Bell and I'll be fine.
Ooh.
But just if you put gas station in front of any type of food, it just makes me like not hungry at all. Like I can be
But it's
starving. And you
different in the
mentioned
South.
gas. Yeah, I live in the South though.
Why would you? No. Okay, there's only certain gas stations I'll buy actual food, like prepared
Yes.
food from. Like I'll get something from the Fayard's gas station because they actually have a deli in the gas station, and that's what they're known for. Is
No,
their
that's what I'm
that's
talking
different.
about. That's what I'm talking about. Is the gas stations you get the boudin from are from the deli.
But no, if you go to those like just regular gas stations and they have like the what are they? What's that?
The burritos.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
like-
rollers?
Yeah, the
No, I'm
rollers
not
and
talk-
like the chicken
I'm not
fried
talking
chicken
about
place.
that,
Or
Daddy.
what is that fried chicken that's advertised all
Dodge's?
over the place?
Dodge's chicken.
Dodge's chicken. Don't
Dude.
eat that. Don't eat that.
I
Don't
no
I
eat
made
desire
my
to eat it.
mistake with Dodge's chicken before. Okay, I want to. The quickest way I can tell this story: I was in Panama City. I wanted chicken. I got Dodge's spicy fried chicken, and everyone said, "Jacob, why did you get that chicken? That Dodge store is where everyone buys crack from. You don't get chicken from there." And I got very sick.
Sickest you've ever been?
No, but that's a pretty high bar.
I don't know
I-
how I would react if someone said that to me and I had already ate the chicken. I mean, just kill
Well,
me.
I didn't eat the chicken yet. It just didn't stop me.
Oh, okay.
And
I
like,
gotcha. I thought you had already ate it.
have you ever had a gas station sandwich like the ones you get from the cooler? Like it's
Oh,
like a
no.
sandwich that's sliced diagonally, but it's sealed up in a package. Like
No.
they have like egg salad, like tuna salad. Like why would you get like that's got to be the soggiest bread, like because it's all it is just like Wonder Bread sliced diagonal.
But-
You know that stuff is just soggy.
I understand the misunderstanding now. Like when you get gas station boudin, it's not on a roller. It's from the deli. It's behind the glass with the chicken tenders and
Okay.
the plates and everything.
Yeah,
Well,
and
okay,
most
I
of the
can-
time, it's homemade.
I can accept that.
See,
Yeah.
but you have to be careful though. Like I trust places like Fayard's. Now there's another place close to me called Big Brooms, Big B's gas station, and they have a deli in there too. And one day I went in there and I got this. The only time I've ever done this because I've had people tell me, "Oh man, their biscuits and gravy are good." I went and got their biscuits and gravy. I got so sick off of that stuff. I've never stepped foot in that place again, ever.
Have you guys experienced the magic of Buc-ee's?
Yes.
Yes,
Buc-ee's
I love
is
Buc-ee's,
great.
dude.
They are the gold standard
Oh,
when it
yeah.
comes to
Yeah.
convenience store food. Their pulled pork sandwiches are like delicious.
That makes
Yeah,
me
we're getting
hungry.
one close to us here in Gulfport, so
Mhm.
I'm
Oh, cool.
super excited for that to open.
Yeah, every
I
time
might
I
get
go
it.
to Pensacola or anywhere in Florida, I always
Yeah.
stop at Buc-ee's.
it's a requirement stop, dude. Whenever I'm on the road and we're anywhere close to the Bucky's, I'm like, we got to go 10 miles out of our way to go to this Bucky's. Like, we just gotta put it on the docket.
Well, I mean,
It's
you
an
go in there
experience.
and just
Yes.
the rows of Bucky brand like snacks that they have, like I could spend like 5 hours just looking at this, like trying to decide snacks, like because they
Diving into
literally
heaven,
have
dude.
everything you could possibly think of is a Bucky's branded snack.
Well,
I
not just
never,
that, they have like an entire wall of their store is nothing but drinks, like
Yeah.
water,
oh
soda,
yeah,
Gatorade. Then
Then
you
you
have
got
the Bucky's store.
you have the place that has like they do the like the fudge and like all
yeah.
the chocolate like candy stuff like right there in the middle. They're making
And
it right there in
beef
front of you.
jerky
Yeah,
right
beef
next to a
jerky.
deli.
Like why? If I'm scared of that Bucky's being so close to us now because I'm gonna be there all the time.
Last time I went, I spent $50 at Bucky's. I'm not gonna lie, I spent
Understandable.
$50 on snacks, and I never thought that a sausage on a stick wrapped in a tortilla could be so good until I got just literally a sausage on a stick wrapped in a tortilla from Bucky's, and I was like, "Why is this delicious?"
And they have
They make magic.
the beaver nuggets. The beaver nuggets
Yeah,
are good.
yeah, those are good.
And then
That's
like
what's
they have
stuck
a
in my
whole
toilet right now. Is
they have
beaver
a whole
nuggets.
store of like clothes and like how home fixtures like and it's like
Yeah.
kind of nice stuff. I'm like this place is just amazing.
The one heartbreaker story I have from Bucky's. So they have, I'm big on like the button up, like funny looking shirts. Like I have
Oh,
some
yeah.
Hawaiian shirts. I've got, like video game branded ones. They had a Ric Flair Hawaiian shirt
Yes.
and I fell in love with it and they didn't have my size.
Oh no, it sucks.
Eventually I got it, but I was like, man, I could have bought it in person because it was so freaking cool.
Mm-hmm.
They had a Van Halen shirt I wanted to get the other night. It was a Van Halen 1978 tour shirt, and it was at one of the outlet malls, and they didn't have my freaking size. All they had,
That's
the
always
largest
how it
size
goes.
they had was large. I'm like, come on, man, us big boys need some love too.
I know, dude. Since I've gotten so jacked, that's been my problem. I found a Bill and Ted shirt at the retro gaming store the other day. They only had a 2X. I need a 4 because I put on so much muscle. But Derek, but let's see. We'll probably wrap up in like what 15 minutes, something like that.
Let's
Right.
let's start wrapping up in about 10 minutes.
10,
Yeah,
15
sure.
minutes. We can do that. What I want to know from you before we start wrapping everything up, what are your 2022 plans, goals, aspirations for not only feature presentation, but Nerd Cave Retro and potentially your film career? Because I know that you have been writing lately.
So I've got a good feeling about 2022. I've mentioned this on Nerd Cave Retro in the past. I think maybe towards the end of the year, we'll finally go through the end of the tunnel with this whole COVID situation. At least I hope so.
Let's hope.
Yeah. So goals for feature presentation. I want to have a really good launch. And I hope that as I continue to do the show, that will entice bigger name guests to come on the show and maybe lead to more work opportunities that would go into the film side of it. I've written one script it's another drama similar to the Parker Syndrome, but it's a little lighter in tone. That, and I'm also working on a murder mystery script. I'd love to do one, possibly both, at some point during 2022. For Nerd Cave Retro, obviously, just keep doing what we're doing. I think what we do is really good. Maybe get some interviews. I know we've got some good video game related guests coming up at Pensacon that I hope to get an interview with either before or after the convention.
One of these
But
days, I'm gonna find out how to get Howard Phillips on the show. It's gonna happen one of these days.
It will. It would be great if it happened for 300.
Oh yeah.
That would be
Can you
sick.
can you explain, for the listeners who might not know who that is? Not me, but the listeners.
Howard Phillips. He started out as just working on the in the warehouse for the American U.S. Nintendo of America warehouse back in the late 70s, early 80s. And he got actually hired to convert all of the the what's that game called that they converted all of them into the Donkey Kong machine.
We just talked about this
Yeah, we
last
just
week.
talked about it. It just left my head.
Atari.
Like, no, it's like
Game and Watch.
I've still got it in the notes. Let me pull it up real quick.
what the hell? Something to do with. I keep thinking submarine. And it's not submarine. It's
Radar scope.
Radar Scope. Yeah, there's a game called Radar Scope, and it didn't do that well, so they converted all the Radar Scope cabinets into Donkey Kong, and that was his first job. But he was actually playing a lot of these games and was really good at it. And especially when they started to bring the Nintendo, they converted the Famicom to the Nintendo and was bringing it over to America. He became the guy basically that would play all the games and be like, yeah, this is something that needs to be brought over to America. Like, because he's actually the one person responsible for what we got as Super Mario Brothers 2 in this country, because it was deemed too hard, the original Japanese version. So he was kind of he was the face of Nintendo up until the time he left Nintendo in like 1991 or 2. I think he left, but if you were a Nintendo Power reader back in those days, he had his own comic strip in there called Howard and Nestor, which was a really cool little comic in there, and he had his little Howard's tidbits all throughout the magazine. He was just basically the face of Nintendo from like 1985 to like 1992.
I stopped listening like almost as soon as you started talking. You could have just said that he was a fucking Nintendo guy. Like that, I don't know.
Well, I like talking about Howard Phillips.
But he
cool
has
guy.
such a great story and like how he got to where he was. So just to hear that from his own mouth, I think would be great.
Yeah. By the way, I'm jealous, and I'm gonna write my own short story because I feel left out, or my own short film. Yeah,
you should.
And it's gonna win all kinds of awards, and I'm gonna star in it, and I'm gonna be Jacob the Rock Craig, guys. I'm gonna be fucking jacked and starring in my own short films. Derek, before we get
to
out
smell
of
what
here,
you're cooking.
You know what? Before we get out of here, dude. Well, I have two questions. One, maybe the more elegant question. I know that anytime anyone goes to Pensacola, you suggest to get food from McGuire's.
Mm-hmm.
My question to you is, does McGuire's have good soup?
They do, actually. They
What's your
have
favorite soup.
So they have bean soup that you can get for only 18 cents.
Whoa!
So you have to order something else. That's the catch, because if you get just the soup, it will cost you $18. But you can get like the soup with, say, like an appetizer, and the soup's 18 cents. But it's really, really good. I get it pretty much every time I go to McGuire's.
Awesome. And the last question for me, I don't know if Jason has anything that Jason's probably tired of talking to you by now, but
No.
He will be by the time we finish.
I'm tired of talking to you, Mr. Craig.
Hey, man. Look, dude, you don't want to find out what I'm cooking, bro. All right? Because it's not going to smell good.
Yeah.
Okay?
I can only imagine.
Derek, when was the last time you pooped yourself?
I don't know that I ever have, actually. Like
Liar.
as an adult.
Okay.
It's not a normal thing, Jacob. Adult people do not shit themselves for no reason.
Everyone has been sick. Everyone in the world has been sick.
Not me.
And everyone in the world has pooped
I've never
themselves.
done it while I've been sick. I know that. Because that's something I would remember. And that's something I wouldn't lie about. So not that to my recollection have I ever relieved myself.
I had a close call earlier today. I don't know how you guys are so vigilant.
I got a strong sphincter.
Yeah.
That and I eat
I guess
fiber.
that's one.
I actually eat vegetables. Like green leafy things go into my body.
Dude, what?
What? Jacob's like, what are those?
Things that grow in the ground and grow like on trees. You should eat that stuff occasionally.
Dude, I don't know what fiber is, but what I do know is I'm gonna start working out my sphincter.
I had a feeling you were gonna say that.
I don't think that's gonna work the way you think it does.
I think you'd be surprised.
I feel like there's a bit in your stand-up somewhere about working out your sphincter.
You know what? That's true. And I'm glad you mentioned that. I said that I was done asking you questions. Have you ever thought about doing stand-up? Because something that people don't understand, podcasting and stand-up, they're not adjacent. They're perpendicular. I mean, the skills can be transferable.
I've thought about it. I would probably be petrified to do it, especially because Jason, I don't know if you ever told this story on the podcast, but I watched one of Jason's shows in Mobile. I think Jacob, you were there also, and I made the mistake of sitting in the front row, and I got destroyed the entire night. I think Jason was the only one who didn't go after me. One guy made his entire act about going after me. Why, I have no idea. And I think that turned me off to any potential stand-up.
Oh, I remember that show. That was at the Box, wasn't it? The Music Box?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We hadn't even met yet at that point. So I know I didn't make fun of you if I didn't know you. But at least I don't think I did.
No, I don't think you did either.
No, Jacob, you don't really attack people unless they start it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't ever mention people unless they're fucking up.
And I don't do crowd work anyway because I'm deaf and I can't hear what people are saying anyway.
But you should give it a shot, dude. And I would say that if you don't even have to commit to doing stand-up, but if you just got on stage a couple of times, I will guarantee you that'll make your podcasting content better. I guarantee it.
You're trying really hard to sell me on this.
Because it just will, man. Because like when you do comedy and let's say you're a writer and you do comedy, it's going to make your writing better because there's a whole section of writing that you haven't even done yet.
That's a good point. I'll think about it. I'll really think about it.
If you decide to go on stage, me and Jason will trek to Pensacola to come see your first time.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah. And I'll make sure no one makes fun of you because I know people over there and I will kick all of their asses. So
yeah, there's not a lot of nice people that live here. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I heard your guys' podcast about, you guys coming over here for a show. And as I was listening to it, I'm like, yep, does not surprise me.
Yeah. If I ever see those ladies again in public, I'm going to just destroy their souls.
Dude, how do you even remember what they look like? They look like every white beach bitch in fucking the Gulf Coast.
So pretty much how most every woman looks in Pensacola.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a thing, because people have also asked me, would I do other podcasts? I've had one for a while, and I don't know if this will ever happen, but because the drivers here are so terrible, like I prefer Los Angeles and New York traffic to what we have here.
Oh, Pensacola,
because the drivers here are so
horrible.
What I would love to do is mic up my car as soon as I pull out of my garage, hit the record button, and I just do commentary on my way to and from work every day.
Joey used to do that. Joey Image used to do that. He used to have a YouTube channel of him just bitching people out driving to work.
That's going to be like genius. An NC-17 rating, dude. That's a fucking X rating waiting to happen.
I don't know what it is, but just the drivers here are so bad. And I've driven in Atlanta, I've driven in LA, I've driven in San Diego. Much prefer all three of those places to the drivers here because they don't pay attention. They don't care.
It's not just that. It's the roads in Pensacola make no sense whatsoever.
They've gotten worse.
I cannot get my bearings of what my sense of direction. As soon as I get into Pensacola, my sense of direction is gone. I don't know what's north, south. The roads make no sense. You could be driving south for I'm going to be at the beach any minute, and the next thing you know, you're like 15 miles north of the interstate. Like, how the hell did I get here?
There was a merge lane added to a four-way stop near my house, and it drives me crazy because people will get in the merge lane to try and cut the rest of the line off.
Yeah.
And when I see people do that, I don't let them back over. And then they blow their horn at me and get mad. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to enable your freaking BS. I hate it. I hate the drivers here.
You have to stay strong in those situations. Don't let people back in. Just stay strong, everybody. Just everybody get right up on each other's bumper and don't let anybody in. Stay strong.
Yep. Exactly.
But Jacob doesn't drive, so he doesn't get any of this.
I don't. I have a valid driver's license that has never been used. As soon as I got that bitch, I was like, well, that's something off the checklist. Never driving a car.
It's
Not
crazy.
until I get one.
As bad as the traffic is in Florida, Mississippi got voted the worst state to drive in.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
No, it's not even that bad here, man. There's hardly any traffic.
I don't know. It's pretty bad sometimes.
Well, there's not enough traffic to where you have to equate it into your commute.
Well, you
Like
know what
if
the
it's
problem
30 minutes
is?
to get somewhere, you'll get
We
there
don't
30
have the
minutes.
roads to accommodate we don't have the infrastructure to accommodate the amount of people that have moved here, and it's just everything bottlenecks, and it just gets so messed up, and there's not enough ways in and out of each city, like especially hurricane routes, like to get north, like evacuate. You might as well just stay where you are because you're not getting out going anywhere.
Whoever made that decision about Mississippi being the worst state to drive in should just come hang out with me on the road in Pensacola for a little while, and that'll probably change their mind.
Or they could just eliminate the prepositional phrase of to drive in, and then they would be right.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
before we go into Drivecast, let's go ahead and say goodbye tonight. Derek, shout out the Feature Press Pod where everybody can find it on the interwebs.
Yes, so you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Feature Press Pod. You can subscribe to the show. By the end of the week, I'll have basically a trailer that you'll be able to watch on YouTube and listen to in audio form to kind of give you an idea of what the show is going to be about. And plus, you'll be able to subscribe YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast for free. If you want to sign up for my Patreon, I've already got some content up there. Jason, Mike Eveland, and I did a really fun roundtable discussion on the Smallville franchise that is currently up on Patreon. And if you sign up now, you will get the first episode of Feature Presentation no later than Friday.
Fantastic.
So you'll get it basically 5 days early.
Ooh.
And you also get access to movie scripts that I've written, some of my films that I did right when I got out of college. You get old podcasts that I did back in 2013 to 2017. So you get a pretty good amount of stuff for Patreon. So you can head over to patreon.com/featurepresspod for that. And as we mentioned, the show will officially be launching Wednesday, January 5th.
Fantastic. What about you, Jacob? What you got coming up?
Man, I got a few things. Firstly, every Tuesday night at the Juke Joint, if you're local here to the Mississippi Gulf Coast and Ocean Springs, Mississippi, come see us. That's where we do the open mic, and I host it every single dang week. And I will also be opening for Nick Youssef in Mobile, January 13th at the Alabama Music Box. Tickets on sale now at alabamamusicbox.com. Like I mentioned at the beginning of our episode, we are one sale away from having our very own coffee line named after us. So use our code to buy your coffee for 10% off. And I will be on the Jester's Court podcast again, January 16th. We're going to be doing that, talking about Batman Forever, which I will defend the absolute crap out of, dude. Are you kidding me?
I love that movie.
I'm going to defend the shit out of that movie. They don't stand a chance. So that's what I got going on. And yeah, I love you guys. That's it.
Oh, yeah. The only thing I really got going on is, Jacob, when is the date of that we're going to be taping our sets at the Juke Joint?
January 26th.
January 26th at the Juke Joint in Ocean Springs. A lot of us are going to be taping our 5-minute sets for
me as well.
For promotion purposes. So if you want to come out and like, please laugh, even if we're not funny, just so we look good on our reels. Please come on out. That's January 26th. So keep an eye on Landmass Comedy on Facebook, and I'll be tweeting it out and sharing it on Facebook as well. And I'm going to go ahead and play our music. And if you'd like to email us, you can email us at openmikerspodcast@gmail.com, at openmikers on Twitter and Instagram. And as usual, go to openmikers.com. Takes you straight to our Patreon, where you get all of our episodes early and our extra content every single month. So let's go ahead and get out of here. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week. Getting Yolked, son. All right. That was fun.
I think I
That
put
was-
a muscle.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. If you guys in the chat room, we'll be back in 20 minutes for Nerd Cave Retro.